What's up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of my podcast, Happy Days, with me, Callum Church. Today, let's talk a little bit about getting stuff done. Because when it comes to getting stuff done, there's two things that are going to get you to do that. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about motivation and I'm talking about discipline. And it's important to remember that both of these things can be trained almost like a muscle, right? And that's the case for most things in personal development. That's what makes personal development such a beautiful thing, is the fact that we can get better at it and grow. It's the growth aspect of it. Everything within our lives can be trained and practiced in order to become better at that thing. And this ultimately comes down to a little thing called neuroplasticity. Now, if you haven't heard of that word before, I know it sounds a little bit intimidating at first, but what neuroplasticity actually is, if I can say it, is the science that our brains are malleable and the fact that our brains can be trained almost like a muscle. You see, with every experience we have and everything we do in our lives, our brains are constantly rewiring and finding new pathways and connections in our brain. And the more connections you have in a certain area, the better you are in that certain area. So in this episode, obviously we're talking about getting things done. And as I say, there's two things that are going to get you there. There's motivation and discipline. Just like everything else in our lives, our motivation can be trained and our discipline can be trained, okay? So, I've established that we're going to be talking about these two things in the episode, but first of all, what are these two things? What is motivation and what is discipline? Because for some people, they might be very similar. Some people might consider them of the same thing. Some people might not actually truly understand what they actually are. So, for me, and for everyone, but this is my belief, this is what I truly believe as a person, as someone who is focused on their personal development, I believe that they are the stimulants for getting stuff done. But they work slightly differently. You see, motivation is getting stuff done when you feel like doing it, and discipline is getting stuff done when you don't feel like doing it. Motivation is the energy, is the excitement, is the motivation, obviously, to do things. So you might, you might have worked a long day at work or something, and you've sat at your desk for a long while, and you've got all this built-up energy. At least I feel like this sometimes, anyways. I have all this built-up energy, and that's what motivates me to go out and go on a run or something, or go and do some exercise. Recently, I've been doing a lot of HIIT workouts at home, and that's been working for me. So I might feel more motivated to do that. Whereas where the discipline comes in, this comes in usually if you want to do a workout in the morning, or maybe you don't want to, but you've set that intention to do a workout in the morning. You wake up in the morning, you feel groggy, you don't feel too energetic, obviously. You're probably a bit dehydrated from the night. And you just don't feel like doing that workout. A lot of physical activity isn't going to really inspire you early in the morning, is it? So that's where your discipline comes in. Your discipline is what sits there and tells you, hang on a minute, no, Callum, you need to do this. You might not want to do it, but you need to do this. And that's what carries you over the line, And it's funny how, sometimes you might not feel like doing something, but as soon as you start, you feel so much better. I don't know if any of you feel like that, but that's what I feel like. So that's what motivation is. That's what discipline is. And getting down to the crux of the episode now, what can we actually do to find more motivation in our lives? And what can we do to find more discipline in our lives? How can we begin to train these muscles and become more motivated, become more disciplined, and ultimately become better people? People who get more stuff done, people who are more likely to succeed in whatever it is that you're excited to pursue in your life. So, first of all, what can we do to improve our motivation? Well, frankly, you're doing it now if you're listening to this podcast. Absorbing and consuming motivational content, that will stimulate some motivation in your life, whatever it is you want to do. So it might be listening to my podcast, it might be listening to other people's podcasts, it might be following more motivational pages on social media and focusing on consuming more positive content on social media, at least anyways, or at least just cutting out some of the least productive and least motivating content online. so that can really help your motivation. Obviously, that's only going to get you so far if you don't put the action in. But that can trigger something inside of you, I believe. Anyways, goals, recording and measuring your goals. This can really help your motivation, really. And I mean, for me, I think it's important to set big goals, but for me, I put a lot of focus on the smaller goals, especially, your day-to-day goals. It's good to have some non-negotiables in your to-do list or your goals for the day, where these non-negotiables, these are the tasks which you have to do, the tasks you have to do every single day. So for someone like me, that will be reading, that will be exercising. And when I say small goals, I mean really, really small. I mean read just 2 pages of a book, and that might seem small to some people and seem like nothing. But the thing is, if I can set that small goal, motivate myself to read 2 pages, I will probably get to the end of those 2 pages and feel like reading even more, So it is just that stimulant, So yeah, and obviously recording and measuring these goals. Once you complete that goal, you're far more likely to feel motivated to do it again the next time and the next time and the next time, because you know that you can do it. And something which might start off as something quite hard, it might be hard to motivate yourself to do it and hard to actually practice and carry out. Once you have set a goal, completed that goal, and you can do it, you as a person know you can do that hard thing, you're going to feel so much more motivated to do it the next time. Third of all, build a positive network. Building a network with other people similar to you, positive people. This might be finding a mentor in terms of networking, vertically. This might be just finding some friends and networking horizontally. It varies really, but so long as these people are positive and they are driven people, the type of people that you want to be like, or the type of people that you are already, that's really going to help motivate you, because when you're seeing other people do well, you're going to want to do well. And also, I think it just aligning with that tribe in general really does boost your mood, boost your energy, boost you as a person, boost your motivation. And of course, it's good to share the positive. It's good to share each other's success and help motivate each other. But it's also good to share the bad as well. It's good to understand that other people are struggling in the same areas that you might be struggling in, or at least they might have struggled with that in the past, and they can help you to get through that. That's motivating in itself. Because if you're sat there and you're stuck in a hole and you just can't, you've got no help to get out, there's no company in that hole, you're alone. You're not going to feel so motivated to do much. Whereas if you're in a team of sorts, even if you're not working as a team, but if you're in a tribe and you're all in it together, you're going to feel so much more motivated, aren't you? And fourth of all, to find more motivation in your life, I've put down exercise. I've written down exercise, and this might seem a little bit strange, because sometimes you might need the motivation before you get to the exercise. And that might be true for sure, but what I find that myself, I am so much more motivated after I do exercise to do, normal work, more sit down at your desk work, get some stuff done work, some of the difficult tasks, the difficult mental tasks anyway, focus, concentration. And the reason why exercise actually motivates you is because it starts triggering your reward and your response neurotransmitters in your brain, basically. It's your dopamine and stuff like that. And this motivates you to get stuff done. A little hack for you, a little motivation hack for you. If you are struggling to get something done, say you're procrastinating, or say you're just lacking the concentration to do something, try doing a few push-ups or some jumping jacks, or something where you get yourself moving. Something relatively intense, something relatively hard but easy to do. It's quite easy to do a few push-ups. You could just plank on the floor and push up, basically, don't you? But again, I say something easy to get to do, but not easy to do, if that makes sense. So obviously, it's easy to get down and do a plank and then start pushing up, but it's not easy to do so many until failure. It's difficult, and that's what triggers your reward and your response in your brain, and you'll find that you'll have a little boost of motivation to get that thing done. So try that out. So that's sort of some of my tips to find more motivation in our lives. Here's some of my tips for more discipline. First of all, I've written down set an intention. Okay, like I said earlier, discipline comes in where you want to do your exercise first thing in the morning, maybe, where you're feeling less motivated to do something. If I want to go to the gym or if I want to go for a run first thing in the morning, what I will do is set that intention. I will say to myself the day before, okay, tomorrow, as soon as I wake up, say 7 o'clock or something, I'm going to go to the gym. That's what I'm going to do. And I can't start my day until I've gone to the gym. That is what I'll say to myself, and just by setting that intention, just by telling yourself and holding yourself accountable to doing that the following morning, you are going to be so much more disciplined. Okay, because if you don't, you will have let yourself down essentially, won't you? And no one wants to let themselves down. So if you bring that negativity in a positive way, though, that negativity in a productive way, where you'll let yourself down otherwise, that can be a really good habit to build up to improve your discipline. Second of all, I've put make it attractive. What do I mean by make it attractive? I mean make it something that you want to do. Make it something that you crave, So if you want to go to the gym first thing in the morning, you've got to be the type of person that does actually want to go to the gym first thing in the morning. And what I mean by this, I mean generally. I don't mean in the morning you want to do it. That would have been motivation. I mean generally. I mean the type of person that is a gym goer. Because if you're a gym goer, you are going to hold yourself accountable, again, like I said earlier, to actually go ahead and do that. You've got to make it attractive to you. So something that you can do to practice this is set a desire. A burning desire is something which Napoleon Hill talks about in his book Think and Grow Rich. And what you can do, I mean, this is something I've done. I've written out a burning desire of mine, which I want to do, and I've pinned it to my bed on my backboard of my bed, headboard, I think, is that the right word? I don't know. Anyways, I've pinned it to my bed essentially, and what I do, I read that every night before I go to bed, and I read it every morning when I wake up. And this will be the type of thing, like, say I want to build that's not a good example. I say it might be I want to put on 10 kilograms of muscle mass by X date, let's say November or something, who knows. That would be the type of burning desire that you'd write down and set for yourself. And if you read this every night, before you go to bed and every morning when you wake up, that will start to trigger that desire within you, and that thing will be more attractive to you. And that will help you become more disciplined in doing the difficult tasks which lead to that achievement. Third of all, make it easier. What do I mean by make it easier? What I'll do to make stuff easier is I will, every time I go for a run or every time I go to the gym in the mornings, this will be laying my clothes down next to my bed. So my trainers, my socks, obviously my underwear, my shorts and my shirt, maybe a hoodie or something if it's cold. And that's what I do. I set it out there. And what this does, just eliminates some of the steps which you have to do to carry out that task first thing in the morning. It makes it easier. I mean, discipline we've all got a certain level of discipline. And if we can lower the bar in terms of difficulty, our set amount of discipline is going to have more wiggle room to get over that bar, let's say, So, if you make it easier, it's just it's one less step to do in the mornings, isn't it? To actually go into your wardrobe and get the clothes out. If the clothes are there straight away, you just put them on and get out of the house. That's all you have to do. And last of all, to improve your discipline, to become more disciplined as a person, practice productive self-talk. And this is the key one, I think. Really, I think this is probably the most powerful. Although all four of these do improve your discipline, I think this is the one which some people might find the most helpful, at least, and the one that makes the largest impact. Practicing productive self-talk. What is productive self-talk? What I'm saying with productive self-talk is, instead of saying, oh, I can't be bothered, oh, it's too difficult, oh, I don't feel like doing this. Instead, say to yourself, come on, you can do this. Come on, you need to do this. Come on, easy. It's easy. You can get it done, And a lot of the time, I will actually say to myself, sounds kind of weird saying that out loud, but I will say to myself while I'm working out, if I'm struggling to get through a certain workout, I'll say to myself, Callum, come on, you can actually do this. Come on, dude, just bang it out. It's easy, man, easy. And this is essentially just working as your own little motivator, your own little PT. Your Mr. Motivation. Imagine if you had a friend with you every moment of the day that was shouting at you and saying to you, come on, dude, you got this. Imagine how much you'd get done. Imagine how much more disciplined you'd be, and even motivated, in fact, as well, to be fair. Imagine how much more you'd get done. Well, you can do that, and you don't need a friend to do it. You can do it yourself. And it's funny, people often align far too much with themselves, and in fact, I think there's many sort of split people within you. There's your ego, and then there's you, there's the I. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I've got a spirituality episode of the podcast coming up soon, so make sure you stay subscribed to Happy Days with Callum Church and check that one out. I've got a really awesome guest coming up, so that will become more clear when that episode comes out. But yeah, it's about having that little buddy inside of you, i.e. yourself, to motivate you to practice this productive self-talk. And that can be big, even just a small phrase of you saying, come on, dude, you can do this. That can be massive, and you can use that over and over and over and over again for every single task in your life, and you'll feel so much more disciplined and able to do it. So those are my sort of points on how we can become more motivated and how we can become more disciplined. And when it comes to motivation and discipline, it's the motivation that is only going to get you so far. And the discipline is always going to have to come into the equation at some point. No one has infinite motivation. No one is just born with some ability to feel like doing everything and feel like being super duper positive and productive all the time. We are humans. We are not robots. We are people with feelings and emotions and fatigue, mental fatigue and physical fatigue. It's not going to be easy to get this stuff done. So that's where the discipline comes in, and that is why it's so important for us to develop both of these different parts of our minds, both of these different muscles, which we can train and improve. And by doing this, by practicing motivation and practicing discipline every single time that you practice these things, new neural pathways in your brain are being built and structured, and every single moment that you practice motivation and you practice discipline, you are becoming better at doing those things and carrying out those tasks. You are becoming more motivated as a person. You are becoming more disciplined as a person. And this ultimately comes down to the fact that your brain is totally and utterly malleable. Just the same that your muscles are malleable, just the same that we can go out for a run, say you go out for a 5k and you really sweat it up and it's difficult, it's hard, your body might not be able to cope with that kind of conditioning, or that kind of physical task, that physical achievement, even though your body might not be able to carry that out. The following day, after you've rested and recovered, your body is going to be more conditioned to do that. It's going to be easier. Every single time that you go out and run that 5k, it's going to be a tiny, tiny bit easier the following day. And it's exactly the same with everything inside of our brains. Totally malleable, just like a muscle. And that is what is totally beautiful about personal development, totally beautiful about self-growth, is the fact that we can grow in every aspect of our lives, whether it be mentally, physically, we can always grow. So that's all that I have for today's episode. I do truly hope that you did enjoy it as always. If you did, please consider leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because it truly does really help the show. Also, leave me a feedback. I'd love for you guys to drop me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @callum.g.church. Make sure that you're staying followed on there. And again, that's all that I have for today's episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. So there you go, that's the end of the show. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe on your podcasting app of choice, so you can download and listen as each episode is released. If this episode helped you in any way, tell your friends, tell your family, maybe even leave a cheeky review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps the show. But that's all for now. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next episode, released shortly. Take care.